Hello everyone and welcome back to According to Addie. It's me, Addie here, and I am so happy to see you guys here. So today I have another true crime story for you guys, and this one is honestly one of the most gruesome true crime stories that I ever came across. So I guess without further ado, let's get started. 19-year-old Aya was a university student in Almaty, Kazakhstan, and she was studying to become a designer. Friends and family say that from a very young age, becoming a designer was Aya's biggest dream. But unfortunately, she didn't receive a lot of support from her family because they just didn't share a vision that she had. So she really had to work hard and fight for her dreams. Luckily, she managed to get a full scholarship to study for design in Almaty, and on top of that, just at the age of 19, this girl already had a personal brand called Ayazhan, and she was working really hard and tirelessly to promote it on social media. So she honestly managed to gain around 200,000 followers on TikTok for her clothing brand, which is really impressive. And on top of all of that, she also worked in a nail salon in order to, support her business. And after graduating from university, Aya's dream was to move to Turkey and I guess work on her skills and make a name for herself. So she was also studying Turkish language. So this girl, she was like a straight A student. She had a personal clothing brand, she was working part-time and she was studying Turkish. She was like basically doing the most, and I have so much respect for that, honestly. So when on March 19th, Aya went missing, a lot of people, were very confused because this was something that was extremely out of character for Aya. So it was actually Aya's boyfriend who contacted her family saying that Aya went missing. Mind you, March 19th, 2021. So obviously Aya's family, they were really worried. So they immediately went to the police. And guess what? Police told them that, Aya being a 19-year-old young girl, she is probably just partying somewhere or she's hooking up with some guy, and there's no need to worry. She'll just come back on her own, which is honestly, what kind of a response is that in the first place? Like, fuck the fucking police. Anyway, so her family obviously wasn't satisfied with that answer, so Aya's older brother decided to start looking for her on his own. So what happened on March 19th, 2021? From what we know, on March 19th, Aya was working in a nail salon and she finished her shift around 9 p.m. So she messaged this guy named Dismembered, and from now on, let's call him R because his name is a little too long for me. And Aya and R actually met on a dating app, which already raised a lot of questions because we know that Aya already had a boyfriend, but regardless, so Aya and R, they meet on a dating app and they decide to meet. There were some leaked conversation between the two, but unfortunately there were just like some screenshots and we couldn't get a lot of the context of the conversation. But in one of the conversations, Aya is telling R that she just finished her work and she's gonna get an Uber and go to his place. And it was around 10 p.m. on March 19th that we could see on a camera that the two of them entered the elevator together. And unfortunately, Aya would not come out of R's apartment alive. So how did it all go down? Apparently, once Aya was inside R's apartment, he tried to sexually force himself on her, and Aya, it looks like, wasn't romantically interested in R because in another one of the leaked conversations, there is like a crop message of Aya telling R that, "Are you crazy? I have a boyfriend." So it does look like, he knew that she had a boyfriend and she was kind of transparent with him that she wasn't sexually interested in him. So it becomes a big mystery as to why she went to see him in the first place. Anyway, once they were in his apartment, he starts trying to sexually force himself on her and she fights him off, and to this he responds by killing her. Yes, you heard that right. He took the rejection so badly, so he killed 19-year-old Aya. But this psycho wouldn't stop there. After killing her, he began cutting her body to pieces. He basically removed all of her teeth and he put them in separate plastic bags. He also removed every single nail from her fingertips and was putting them in separate plastic bags. This is really gruesome. So he then took her different body parts and he was dropping them in different trash cans across Almaty. So this guy was a true psycho. He then cut her head and was boiling it in a pot. And it was so bad that by the time cops arrived to his apartment, there was only a skeleton left of her body. And like I said, this is probably one of the most gruesome true crime stories that ever took place in Kazakhstan, at least to public knowledge. This was just really crazy. So it's nuts. So this guy R, apparently he used to be a med school student, and that's why police thinks, these med school students, they go to morgues and they cut people open and they do all that. So he probably had like some sort of training to do it. But also he was not a good student and he actually got kicked out of med school. And unfortunately, we don't know a lot about R other than that because, after he committed this horrible crime, his own family disowned him. And none of his, friends or acquaintances ever came forward with any comments. We don't even know, if he had any friends because his neighbors say that he was a really quiet guy, very unassuming, very quiet. They never knew anything about this guy, so he wasn't giving any bad vibes. He wasn't giving any vibes, he was like a, gray mouse, so nobody pays attention to this guy. So yes, it is really crazy, but what's crazier is the fact that, remember, like I said, when Aya's brother decided to, start looking for his sister on his own, he actually managed to find an Uber driver who drove his sister to R's apartment. So the Uber driver takes him to R's apartment, and this is around, I think, March 22nd. So it's been maybe 2 or 3 days since Aya's been killed. So when he arrives there, he sees police cars and an ambulance. He obviously goes to a policeman and he's like, "What happened? Is my sister there?" And the police is like, "Okay, this one has nothing to do with your sister, just go home." They tell him nothing. So Aya's poor brother was forced to, just go back home, and her entire family found out about what happened to her from social media. Honestly, fuck the police. I cannot even fathom what is wrong with these people who work in Kazakh police establishment or whatever. How can you do this to somebody else? Can you imagine your loved one being killed in such a horrible manner and the police is not telling you anything and finding out about it from, social media? That is so heartbreaking. But their heartbreak wouldn't stop there, since this case was really gruesome and it really blew up on the internet. A lot of people began, talking trash about Aya. They were questioning, why she already had a boyfriend and why she was on dating apps and talking to random men. Some people began speculating that she went to R's apartment to have, sex for money, which honestly none of this was ever proven, and these allegations are really disgusting given the fact how public this case was in Kazakhstan. So probably Aya's family and friends, they were aware of what people were saying, and this is extremely cruel thing to do to somebody in their position. So no matter what speculations or theories you have, if they're so nasty, please keep them to yourself. Now, Like I said, a lot of people were confused as to why Aya went to R's apartment in the first place, because number one, Aya had a boyfriend. Number two, there was that leaked conversation when Aya was telling R, like, are you crazy? I have a boyfriend. Again, insinuating that this girl she's not interested in this guy romantically, like, at all. Another evidence to that was the fact that when Aya actually went to see R, she informed her boyfriend that, after work she was going to this guy's place. So unless they were having an open relationship, which is nothing wrong with that, I don't understand why she would go there. Now her family said that, and this is their theory. So remember how Aya had already her own personal clothing brand? So every now and then she would take orders and she would make clothes for people, custom made. And in order to do that, she would oftentimes have to, go visit them, take like measurements, talk about what kind of clothes they want, etc., etc. So her family thinks that, since Aya already told R that she has a boyfriend, she's not interested in him. Maybe, just maybe, because Aya had 200,000 followers on TikTok, so maybe he knew that this girl had this clothing brand and he used it as a lure, to trap her. So maybe he just pretended like he was interested in getting some custom made clothes, so Aya was, forced to come and see him to take his measurements. That is actually very possible. And again, if, let's say, Aya went there to have sex with this guy for money, like, why would she fight him off, Why wouldn't she just do it, take the money, and go home? It doesn't make sense. So I do kind of agree with Aya's family. Now, according to the police, when they arrived in R's apartment, it looked like something straight out of like a horror movie. Everything was covered in blood. And they found her teeth in separate plastic bags and her nails. And like I said, by the time they arrived, there was like only skeleton left of her head, which was a really gruesome thing to witness. And as soon as they tried, arresting R, he began screaming that I didn't eat her, which is such a disturbing thing to say. Like, this guy is truly disturbing. Anyway, as soon as police was attempting to arrest him, R actually tried to unalive himself. Now, I don't know whether I should say fortunately or unfortunately, but he failed. So basically that's why there was an ambulance. He was taken to the hospital, and as soon as he, was back to his senses, he was arrested. And what is more infuriating about this whole story is the fact that, first of all, this trial, it wasn't an open trial like Saltanat Nukianova's case. It was a closed trial, so we couldn't see anything, right? But number one is the fact that he only received 25 years for this horrific crime. Let that sink in. He killed a 19-year-old girl. He then dismembered her body, was throwing her body parts in different areas in the city. He was boiling her head. He removed her teeth, her nails. And for all of that, his sentence was 25 years. This is so maddening, and I personally don't know why, but like in Kazakhstan, we do not have, number one, death sentence. Number two, I don't know if anybody in the history of Kazakhstan ever received a life sentence. Usually for horrific crimes like murder, you would only be looking at maybe 20 to 25 years, which I think sends a very terrible message. So this R guy was basically like, I think 27 or 28 years old. And by the time, he's done with his sentence, he would be like, I don't know, in his 60s or whatever. But still, this guy is a danger to society. He is a sick man, and he should have received a longer sentence. I do believe that he deserves to just rot in prison for what he did and what he did to Aya's family. Like, imagine going through such a trauma and then having like the whole world, okay, not the whole world, but the whole country just talking shit about your deceased family member. The whole country saying that she was a hooker, that she was a whore, that she had it coming, or why did she go there? Like, he like honestly needs to pay Aya's family a moral compensation for all of that shit that he put them through, and he should have received a longer sentence. But yes, unfortunately, 25 years is all he got for his terrible crime. Let me know, what do you guys think about this whole case? If you have any theories, I'm all down. What do you think Aya went to see this guy in the first place? And what do you think about his sentence? Anyway, this is it for today, and I will see you next time. Please take care and stay safe. Bye bye.